It's a beautiful fall Friday in central New York, the perfect setting for a top 10 tilt. Number 9 Syracuse hosts number 2 North Carolina. Hey there, everyone, and welcome into our Cuse.com pregame show. I'm Adam Gotkin alongside Hunter Caparelli. When you get these two national powerhouses facing off, it's always a fun one.
Adam, what a matchup we have in our hands today. A lot on the line with tournament season right around the corner.
And in the ACC, it's always fun matchups, but maybe not so much for Syracuse recently. Year 3 of the Lynn Farquhar era right now, and she's yet to have an above 500 season in conference play.
What this trend tells me is the affirmation of the strength of this ACC field hockey landscape. 5 teams in the ACC that are currently ranked in the top 10 national poll this week. Syracuse's middling record with this just shows me that the field hockey in ACC is really strong.
Yeah, you can't really blame Syracuse too much for going under or at 500 in conference play, but maybe you can blame them for not showing up last time out, because when they took on 5-5 Cal, it was not Syracuse's best game. The number 5 team in the country struggling against a team that is just 500 on the season. The Golden Bears had a number of opportunities early on in this game. Jesse Eisland was really tested, and then Liz Klompmaker, the star for Cal, gets one into the back of the net just 17 minutes in.
Yeah, Syracuse was held scoreless for the first time this season, despite outshooting the Golden Bears 17-6, and also holding a commanding 14-4 advantage in penalty corners. Out of those 17 shots, 9 were on goal, but give credit to California goalkeeping for staying strong in the cage.
And you look at this Cal team, it's one that had not won back-to-back ACC games since joining the conference, so they had a lot of motivation to win this game. Back half of the West Coast trip for Syracuse, and you could see maybe a little bit of the tiredness. Here's an opportunity towards the end for Aubrey Turner, but it's deflected by the Cal keeper with under 5 minutes to go, and you can just see what it means for the Golden Bears. They win it 1-0. But as you said, Hunter, Syracuse controlled a lot of this game. They outshot Cal. They had almost 10 more corners, but they couldn't score.
Yeah, Syracuse averages around 17 shots per game, which was on line with this, but 53% of their shots on Sunday were on goal, a little lower than normal, but the individual stat that sticks out to me is Syracuse's premier goal scorer, Bovan Kempen. She was only able to put 3 out of her 8 shots on goal, which is way under her season average. So I think this loss was a combo of stellar goalkeeping on Cal's end, as well as Bovan Kempen not capitalizing on her looks on cage.
And when you look at Bovan Kempen as a player, she's very interesting because her only offensive opportunities are going to come on the APCs, the attacking penalty corners. Syracuse got a lot of them against Cal, 14, but they just weren't efficient enough.
Right, yeah, don't be surprised if head coach Lynn Farquhar makes some adjustments on their penalty corner strategy today as a result of last Sunday. Whether that's mixing up players where they're positioning themselves on the shooting circle, or maybe even experimenting outside of that typical insert pass to shot on cage and building in more secondary passes, which could result in less predictable penalty corner attempts by Syracuse, keeping the North Carolina goalkeepers on their toes.
That's going to be key for the Syracuse APC unit to have a strong day today. This UNC defense gives up under a goal per game, and there's Bovan Kempen, the top goal scorer in the country, hoping to get back on track today against the number 2 team in the nation. But Bo might need some help because UNC, again, is that good. This is one of the best teams year in, year out. And to get some help, they're going to look to Danique Sherman, another Dutch player who's been very good this season, picked up a goal on the West Coast trip at Stanford.
Sherman's really come on the scene as of late with 2 goals in the past 3 games, 4 goals total. Both of her goals against Colgate and Stanford were game clinching. Syracuse is also 3-0 when Sherman scores.
And Syracuse has mixed up the APC strategy a little bit, giving Sherman those opportunities and giving her the chance to take those shots. She had a stretch where she had 5 games in a row without a shot. Now she's had at least 1 in 5 of the last 6. So you can see that Lynn Farquhar is making it a real emphasis for her team to get Sherman involved.
100%, just over a shot per game. So I'd love to see her get more shots on cage and get more involved in the offense overall. She has been great on the defensive side. She had a big defensive save in the double overtime win over Ohio State a few weeks ago, but would really like to see her get more involved in the offense.
The grad student had 2 goals in the opener, 2 so far in this month of October. And for Sherman, this will most likely be the final home game for her at Coyne Stadium. This is the last home game of the regular season for Syracuse, and unless unless things go crazy in the last week of the season and the ACC tournament. They won't be hosting in the NCAA tournament, so this one definitely means a lot for this big senior class.
This is a huge game for the senior class. Syracuse could be potentially losing a lot of production next year depending on eligibility. This group of seniors and graduates have combined for 26 out of 43 total goals as well as 40 out of 46 total assists. So similar to last season when the Orange lost almost 50% of their high-octane offense, Syracuse again will be looking to rebuild and reload for next year.
We've got a fun one coming up at Coin, a top 10 matchup as number 9 Syracuse hosts number 2 North Carolina in the final home game of the season for the Orange. Welcome back into our Cuse.com pregame show. Adam Gotkin with Hunter Caparelli. And we look at this series matchup. These are two of the top teams in the ACC year in and year out, but it's North Carolina who's had the upper hand recently.
Yeah, not too shocked by this series record. North Carolina has been the pinnacle of NCAA field hockey in this past decade. 5 out of the last 7 national championships. Syracuse, meanwhile, has their one lone national championship against who else but North Carolina 10 years ago. So out of those 27 games, that might be the biggest win.
Well, Syracuse has not beaten North Carolina since 2021. They'll hope to do that today, but the Tar Heels are playing really good right now. Last time out, UNC picked up a big win at home over Louisville. This is a Tar Heels team that really dominates almost every single game. It's what they're used to, and once again, that's what they did early on. A lot of chances for UNC.
Adam, I actually got to travel to Chapel Hill this past weekend and watch this game in person. The Tar Heels dominated the game on both ends of the field. They put up 23 shots while not allowing one from Louisville until the fourth quarter. Carolina's first 2 goals came from newcomers Kara Heck and Isabel Bura, who have both been impactful this year.
That first goal for the Tar Heels came in just the 7th minute of the game. They got on board early on, and then they just never slowed down. This UNC team is so dangerous when they have momentum. They're close to unstoppable. And here's the second goal of the game. It'll come up in just a moment. We'll see Isabel Bura off the penalty corner. Just one heck of a shot there. That's actually first deflected, sorry. Now we'll get to the goal. I promise it'll come, as Kara Heck had a lot of opportunities. There's the deflection, and no, I guess we're not getting a goal. Never mind here. This UNC team just kept on attacking. You think that one's going to go in, and there it is. Finally, UNC scores, but man, it just kept feeling like they were going to maybe score 5, 6, or 7 in this game just based on the amount of opportunities that they had.
100%. North Carolina got a third insurance goal from veteran Sana Hawk on yet another penalty corner opportunity. I also spoke with North Carolina sisters Riley and Kara Heck afterward. They told me they're treating today's game against Syracuse like it's any other, but they did acknowledge what this win would mean for them for ACC and NCAA tournament seeding.
Yeah, it would mean a lot. That final goal for North Carolina came in the final minute of the game, and it was honestly really shocking that UNC only scored 3. I kept saying that I thought there was going to be another goal because, well, they had 23 shots, 7 of them on net. That could have been a 5 or 6-0 game.
The 2 stats that immediately stick out to me is that shot discrepancy, 23-2, and the penalty corner discrepancy, 12 penalty corners to 2. This came against what was at the time a ranked Cardinals opponent that was looking to bounce back after losing to number 8 Duke earlier that weekend. Somewhat reminiscent of the stats we looked at earlier from the Syracuse-Cal game. The biggest difference was UNC was able to finish where Syracuse wasn't.
Well, a big ranked win last time out for North Carolina. And we can't talk about this Tar Heels field hockey program without focusing on their head coach, Erin Matson, already a legend of the game at just 25 years old. She's won 5 national championships as a player, as a coach, a 50-5 record, member of the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Everything that you can say about Erin Matson is just incredible.
Matson's story is out of a movie. Considered one of the best college field hockey players of all time, she led the Tar Heels to 4 championships under legendary coach Karen Shelton. And following Shelton's 42-year coaching retirement in December of 2022, just a month after her own graduation from UNC, Matson was named the Tar Heels' new head coach and went on to win her first championship as a coach less than a year later.
Erin Matson, your first true Gen Z head coach. She connects with her players in a really incredible way, and it works. You look at the stars that she's brought into this team. Isabel Bura, one of the freshmen, has really had an incredible start to her collegiate career. And you look at what she's done recently, she just keeps getting better and better goals in 3 of her last 4 games.
Bura's been a surprise source of offense as a freshman. 6 goals and 4 assists so far this year and 3 goals in the last 4 games. She also scored the game-deciding goal on the road against number 6 Princeton early in the year, which was a huge win for them.
Bura is a very similar player to Syracuse's Bo Von Kempen, someone who mainly plays on the back line, but on those APCs will push forward. She's another Dutch player. That's just something that you see a lot.
Yeah, she started all 13 games on the back line. She's been great at positioning herself on the far side of the cage and being able to clean up any loose balls and goalkeeper deflections in the shooting circle. She's one of the many freshmen Coach Madsen has put a lot of trust in. Just in that past game against Louisville, Madsen called on Bura to take multiple penalty quarters. She ended up scoring a goal and an assist in that game.
Bura's taken multiple shots in all but one game this season. We expect her to play a big role in this one, and we also expect one of this team's senior leaders to be a massive part in this game. Riley Heck, you can make an argument she's the best player in the country, won the Honda Award 2 years ago, ACC Offensive Player of the Year last year. When Riley Heck is on the field, you got to keep an eye on her.
Like you mentioned, 2024 ACC Offensive Player of the Year and 2023 National Player of the Year. She's leading the team with 12 goals this year, but some of the qualities that I think make her so good is her high field hockey IQ. I think some of the extension of Madsen in her goes onto the field, and she can't also not beat you with her stick handling, but with her vision and playmaking.
It's been a bit of tough going recently, though, for Riley Heck. She hasn't scored a goal in each of her last 5 games after she scored 5 against Stanford and scored in 7 of the first 8. Heck just hasn't taken that many shots, just 3 shots in the last 3 games. So we'll see if now maybe a chance to take on a top 10 opponent is what she needs to get back on track.
I think that's due to change. I think a combination of her creativity and excellent dribbling skills will contribute to her offensive success in this game. She has the clutch gene, she has the killer mentality in high pressure situations, and she had the deciding goals in both the 2023 ACC and NCAA championship games, so I could see her turning it around in this game.
Riley Heck is a star. She's a North Carolina legend, and this season's a little bit more special for her because her sister Kara decided to transfer to UNC this season after starting her collegiate career at Boston College, playing at Rutgers, and those sister connections on the team are special, and Kara's one heck of a player, not just the sister of Riley.
I had the chance to actually write a feature story on Riley last year. In our interview, she told me outside of her mom, Kara is her biggest supporter in improving her field hockey skills growing up. And she said that they have a tough love relationship that's in the effort of making each other better. Syracuse and North Carolina have split time between their goalkeepers. Syracuse with Jesse Iceland and Tanya King, and North Carolina with Merritt Skubitz and Katie Wimmer. What are the benefits from this coaching strategy, and is it sustainable for tournament play?
Well, for both these teams, both of their goalkeepers are not only successful at what they do, but are both so versatile in how they play. So that's a really great thing when another team has to scout you and prepare for 2 different styles of play in their goalkeepers. Now, UNC is no stranger to playing with 2 goalies. Back in 2022, they split time between Kylie Walbert and Abby Taylor and found themselves with an NCAA championship trophy through that strategy. And so far, it's worked for them. They're 12-1 and seeing a lot of success in ACC play.
Brent, since losing to Wake Forest in double overtime a few weeks ago, North Carolina has only allowed 2 goals and back-to-back shutouts in that span. What are the Tar Heels doing defensively, specifically over the past few games that made them so impenetrable?
You can argue that the defense is doing an excellent job at limiting shots, but I think also UNC has just been so overpowering offensively that they don't really give their opponents a chance to put themselves on the offensive. I mean, UNC has over 17 shots a game compared to their opponents' 7.5, and they earn double the corners that their opponents do. So does UNC really have great defense, which they do? But is it more of the fact that they are just always offensively pushing against these opponents?
Connor, really an incredible story with Mia Klammer after she missed all the last year due to injury to now come back this season and be a star.
Really intrigued by Klammer's story. She was a Division II Player of the Year at the College of St. Rose. The college permanently closes after 103 years. She then transfers to Syracuse. She's out the entire season, red shirts, and then is now the leading scorer for Syracuse this year with 7 goals.
Really incredible there. But now moving back into the field hockey world, we are coming up towards postseason play. Let's take a look at how the ACC tournament would be if the season ended right now. Being played in Louisville this year, Syracuse would be the 5 seed playing against the 4 seed Duke. The Orange beat the Blue Devils 1-0 earlier this season. North Carolina would play Stanford in the first round. No matter what, though, if you're in the ACC tournament, it's going to be tough in any game that you play.
Totally, a bunch of really fascinating potential matchups here. As of right now, a top 3 seed is likely out of reach for Syracuse, so they should definitely focus on securing that 4 or 5 seed. The Orange would have a favorable matchup against a Duke squad they beat, like you mentioned, 1-0 at home a few weeks ago. And they would set up a potential rematch against a Wake Forest team that they played really close in a 2-1 defeat a few weeks ago.
No matter what, it's going to be tough, but it's ACC field hockey. If you want to win a title, you have to beat the best to be the best. Well, Hunter, we're coming up towards this game, so why don't you go ahead and give me the players that you're focusing on through this one?
100% for UNC. I'm looking at UNC's Charlie Bruder. The forward has been an offensive powerhouse this year for UNC, and although Riley Heck gets most of the attention, do not overlook Bruder. She led the nation last year with 27 goals. Her and Riley Heck is what makes this combination for UNC so scary. And for Syracuse, I'm looking at forward Patty Strunk. The forward has been great this year for Syracuse with distributing and facilitating for Syracuse. When Bo Von Kempen is scoring, most of the time, Patty Strunk is in some kind of way with the goals scored. So be on the lookout for her to be teeing up some effective shots on goal.
All right, Hunter, so we've got your players to watch. What about the keys to the game for both these teams? What do they got to do to win?
For UNC, I'm looking at leveraging your dynamic duo. Riley Heck and Charlie Bruder have combined for 22 goals this year. They want to attack Syracuse's stout defense. They're going to have to score to win this game. And pressure Bo Von Kempen. Applying a defensive shift and pressure toward Von Kempen will force Syracuse's role players to make more plays and be more aggressive, which could work in favor for UNC. And for Syracuse, I'm looking at getting the ball into Carolina's 25-yard area. Bo Von Kempen is really good at launching the ball into the 25-yard box. The more times she does that, the higher the chance of drawing a penalty corner or getting a shot on goal. And lastly, play as one unit. Syracuse has been really good this past year at playing together and covering one another without risking plays behind them. However, many of the goals Syracuse has given up this past year has been a result of them losing their shape. So if they do that, they'll have a golden opportunity to capture a win today.
It's a top 10 matchup here in Central New York, and number 9 Syracuse with a lead at the half over number 2 North Carolina. Hey there, everyone, and welcome into our ACC Network Halftime Report. Adam Gonkin alongside Hunter Caparelli, and a bit of a surprise through 30 minutes. For the first time this season, North Carolina trails at halftime.
Syracuse has done a really good job possessing the ball, pressuring and getting fast breaks. That's how they got their last 2 goals to go up 3-1.
The Orange haven't beaten the Tar Heels in almost 5 years, but let's see how the first half went down for Syracuse to have a successful start the way that they did. It didn't look that way from the very beginning. UNC was pretty good in the first couple minutes of this game. It took just 2 to get the first goal as Bruder found the back of the cage in just the second minute.
Bruder got UNC on the board first with a laser into the back of the cage, like you said, off a penalty corner insert from Danny Mendez. Bruder led the nation last year with 27 goals. She now has 11 on the season.
5 minutes later, Syracuse has an APC of its own. Bo Von Kempen doesn't score, but she does draw another opportunity. So in the 8th minute, Von Kempen has another chance, and this time she buries it. Bo Von Kempen now tied for the NCAA lead in goals. When you give her the penalties, it's almost impossible to stop. But the impressive thing from Syracuse in this game is how the offense just continued to fight, continued to battle in the run of play.
Yeah, Syracuse forward Hattie Madden, she got on the board with her second goal. She's been a key contributor on offense with 6 goals going into this game, the second most on the team. She sent that screamer past UNC goalkeeper Merritt Skubish that put the Orange on top 2-1.
And the Qs just continued to dominate possession. They continued to have a bunch of chances. That goal from Hattie Madden put Syracuse up 2-0 at that point. The Orange lead at the break by a score of 3-1. And definitely an interesting game in this one, how UNC has controlled possession in a sense, but they haven't been able to score, unlike Syracuse, who in the past has done that, where they've controlled possession but not scored.
They haven't. The storylines really have flipped between their 2 previous games. Syracuse wasn't able to score off penalty corners. UNC was. Now in this game, Syracuse, they had that 1 penalty corner goal off Bo Von Kempen and then 2 goals in the run and play. It's been the story of this game.
And that's everything right now for Syracuse, because coming into this game throughout the entire season, the biggest issue was they were scoring on the penalty corners, and that was just about it. But 2 field goals in just the first half, if Syracuse can do that, then they're going to be almost an unstoppable team.
They really will be unstoppable. When you're getting goals from players like Lika Legongers, she adds an insurance goal to go 3-1 after that excellent fast break. That saw her tally only her second goal of the season. She played in all 20 games as a junior last year, so the experience there should not be overlooked when they're getting offensive pressure from players like this.
And Syracuse even had a goal overturned in this game, so they could have had 4. They could have had 3 field goals, which is just incredible when you look at this Syracuse offense and what they had done coming into this game and now what they've done so far in this one against the number 2 team in the nation. And it's definitely a big surprise when you look at this series history. We touched on this in the pregame, but UNC has historically dominated when playing SU, but that's not the case so far.
Syracuse cannot let up in the second half. UNC had the best offense in the nation last year, and they have, again, one of the best offenses in the season, in the nation this year. North Carolina is going to be peppering shots on Cage in the second half, so Syracuse defense has to be ready.
Yeah, when you look at these past matchups as well, you can see a lot of the time that North Carolina didn't just win, but it dominated. So you got to really make sure you keep your foot on the gas if you're Syracuse, because the Tar Heels offense, when you give them an opportunity, they can be almost unstoppable.
Erin Matson is definitely going to make a few adjustments going into the second half. As good of a player as she was, she's an even better coach. She's going to know what to tell her players in the locker room going to the second half, making adjustments, whether it's on penalty quarters, getting more in fast break, causing more pressure. Syracuse has to be ready.
Let's go back to the field hockey field, go back to the turf in this game that we've got going on today, Hunter. Syracuse taking on North Carolina, 9-2. Who was your star of that first half?
My star of that first half was Syracuse's Hattie Madden. She not only hammered home that shot in the shooting circle right past Merritt Skubish to give them the 2-1 lead, but she's also been all over the field making her presence known by phasing those North Carolina midfielders with their constant pressure. She's gotten the Syracuse offense going up in fast break. That's how they've gotten to go up 3-1.
So Madden played a big part in the first half for Syracuse to take that 3-1 lead, but now going into the second, give me your keys to the game, not just for Syracuse, but for North Carolina as well.
For North Carolina, I would capitalize on errors. You know, they're one of the best teams in the nation. They know how to score. They're going to be constantly pressuring Syracuse in this second half. If they could capitalize, whether it's on a green card, a yellow card with a player down, or just getting players up the field, if they cause Syracuse to make some mistakes, they're going to get some goals on Cage, and they should be able to maybe tie or even come back and win this game. For Syracuse, though, rely on your defense. You're up 3-1 in this game. You have an insurance goal to play with. Play with that mentality, that conservative mentality, where you know you could give up a goal, but you could still win this game. So just play conservative.
Well, Hunter, definitely I think the most impressive thing in that first half from Syracuse was how they're able to control possession. Did that really surprise you in this one?
That really surprised me. Syracuse possession has been really good throughout the year. It's been wavering a little bit in the past few games, but they've really been able to keep their shape. They've communicated a lot, been able to cover each other going up and down the field. So it surprised me, but it's been really good.
An absolute thriller at Coyne Stadium. Number 2, North Carolina takes down number 9, Syracuse, 4-3. And welcome into our Cuse.com postgame show. Adam Gonkin alongside Hunter Caparelli. I mean, that was just an incredible game. Goes into halftime with Syracuse up 3-1, and then North Carolina comes out of nowhere and takes down the Orange.
Insane game by North Carolina. They go down into halftime 3-1. They come back in the second half. Best offense in the country, and they showed it, scoring 3 goals, and then Bruder with the game winner to win 4-3.
We talked about it at halftime that you cannot take your foot off the gas against this UNC team with Erin Matson at the helm and with all the star power. They're just so good that it's almost impossible to not give up more than 1 goal. Well, we've got the player who scored 3 of those goals joining us here, Charlie Bruder. A career day for you, 7 points, the most in your career, a hat trick. What was going so well for you?
I think just the momentum that started with the back. We had a lot of energy from the bench, and just every time we stepped onto the field, we looked at each other and we're like, we're not going down. We have this, we're on fire, like foot on the gas, let's go.
Charlie, what did Coach Matson tell you guys during halftime while you were down 3-1 to try to come away with this comeback win?
Yeah, I mean, she's a winner, she's a fighter, so she just kind of looked at all of us and she's like, I know you guys have it in you, let's do it. We've been in a position like this before, so let's put our foot on the gas and just keep going. And she just kind of looked all of us in the eye and she just said, you got this. And that just kind of really resonated with me, and I was like, we got this, let's do it.
Charlie, thank you so much, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Just an incredible performance today from Charlie Bruder. Scores a hat trick, a career-high 7 points. And let's show you how she did it. It all started early on. The first goal of the game for the Tar Heel coming in just the second minute, and you could tell that she was going to have a special day.
This game was another example of North Carolina being North Carolina. Quick passing, swift movements, and lockdown defense in the second half. Bruder opened up the scoring first, and then after North Carolina conceded 3 goals in the first half, Carolina played their brand of field hockey.
And one of the most impressive things I think about Bruder is how all 3 of the goals were different. First one comes on the APC, second one in the midst of some chaos, and then the third on a breakaway.
On a breakaway, Syracuse had opportunities to score, but give credit to Carolina's backline. Goalkeeper Katie Wimmer, who had a couple tremendous saves there in the fourth quarter to keep the Orange off the board going down the stretch.
Just an incredible day for Bruder, the 4th hat trick of her career, the first of this season. 3 goals, 1 assist on 8 shots. She was just simply unstoppable in North Carolina's 4-3 win over Syracuse. Without a doubt, our player of the game today, Hunter.
Charlie Bruder was fantastic. She was involved in all 4 goals, the 3 goals on her, and then the 1 assist to Danny Mendez. She buttered her bread on both sides of the ball. North Carolina outshot Syracuse, and it was really the story of the game.
It definitely was. You know, it's going to be a fun one when North Carolina takes on Syracuse, and boy, today did not disappoint. The Tar Heels take down the Orange 4-3. Welcome back into our Cuse.com postgame show. Adam Gockett alongside Hunter Caparelli. Really just an incredible game in this one from start to finish. Syracuse goes up 3-1 going into the half, and then the Tar Heels come out of half and just absolutely dominate the second. So let's show you how they came away with the victory. It all started at the very beginning of this game, just in the second minute when UNC got the first possession, and on the first APC, Charlie Bruder buried it.
A laser off Bruder's stick right into the back of the cage from a penalty corner insert from transfer Danny Mendez. She got UNC on the board.
But just 6 minutes later, Syracuse had an APC of its own, and Bo Von Kempen ties the NCAA lead in goals, gets her first of the game, and Syracuse ties it up at 1. Just 4 minutes later, here's Hattie Madden with a chance off the pass from Likale Gongers, and Madden taps it in. Syracuse goes up 2-1, Madden's 5th goal of the season.
Madden, a key contributor on the offense this year. That's her 7th goal. She sent that screamer past Skubish to put Orange up 2-1.
And then in the second half, you see North Carolina's Charlie Bruder get her second of the game. That made it 3-2 at that point, but then Bruder just continued to have chances. This UNC offense continued to fight, but an incredible stop there from Tawny King to keep that game 3-2. However, you give UNC more chances, and they will continue to make things difficult.
Bruder, her scoring prowess comes from the powerful sweeping hits like we saw in the second half. She scored that second goal and then the game winner on the fast break, which gave her the hat trick.
And she got the assist on that goal you just saw from Danny Mendez. And now here you see Tawny King trying her best, but no. Bruder puts it into the back of the net on a breakaway to give North Carolina the lead 4-3 with 20 seconds to go. And they held on to take the victory and take this one. Knock down number 9 Syracuse 4-3 the final. At the half, the statistics on both sides were pretty similar, but North Carolina just dominated the second. And honestly, you look at the shots, you look at the corners, 4-3 maybe seems a little bit closer than it could have been.
King had a couple of fantastic saves in the third and fourth quarter to keep Syracuse in it for as long as they could. If you look at that 22 shots for North Carolina, at some point you knew one of those were going to find the back of the cage, and a bunch of them ended up did.
Yeah, you did, and 15 shots on net. The Syracuse keepers had double-digit saves. They tried, Jesse Eisland and Tawny King, but at the end of the day, just could not stop the Tar Heels. It's the first time this season that Syracuse gives up more than 3 goals in a game. The first time they've given up 4 goals in a game since they gave up 4 against North Carolina last season. And we just touched on it, but this game was about the definition of a tale of 2 halves. In the first, the Orange dominated. They go up 3-1 heading into the half, and then in the second, it was all North Carolina. Syracuse didn't really have any opportunities on offense in the second.
This is North Carolina's brand of field hockey. They play you the full 60 minutes. They went down 3-1 in the first half. They made adjustments at halftime, and they came out and scored 3 goals in the second half. This win for the Tar Heels makes it their 7 in a row against the Orange. North Carolina's resume now includes 4 top 10 ranked wins.
That's not too bad at all. And I think one of the things that is most impressive for North Carolina in this game is the fact that they had that fight in the second half, to not sit back and say, oh man, that was tough, we just gave up 3 goals in a half, we don't do that, but to then come out of half and dominate, that's why they're a national power and have won 5 of the last 7 national championships.
I think you really need games like this going into tournament and conference play. Games like this, you go down 2 goals and you know you have the perseverance to come back, tie, and take the lead. It really helps going into the tournament stretch.
It definitely does, but it wasn't just North Carolina who really dominated in that second half on offense. It was a lot of Syracuse just not being able to control possession, especially in the midfield. That's where the game flipped going from the first to the second, where in the first, Syracuse had a lot of possession. In the second, they barely held the ball.
Syracuse dominated possession in the first half. That's the reason why they were able to go out to a 3-1 lead. But in the second half, North Carolina flipped that script. They really pressured the midfielders, got the ball, caused mistakes, and it resulted in 3 goals.
Izzy, thanks so much. That's a really important game for Syracuse tomorrow, Hunter.
Huge game for Syracuse. Pitt had a big win against Florida State last week. They're coming in looking to beat Syracuse. Hopefully Fran Brown has his team ready to go.
That's not the only game around campus this weekend. Let's take a look at what else is going on around the hill in addition to field hockey and football. Soccer season's both still in full swing. The men take on Pittsburgh this weekend. Ice hockey down at Delaware. That's a brand new Division I program. And the cross-country teams, usually some of the best programs in the country, also on the road.
Syracuse volleyball is looking to bounce back after losing to 6 Stanford. The men's soccer team, they came off a huge win against number 25 SMU last week, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. Last
year, Syracuse beat Pittsburgh at home. The Panthers then were one of the best teams in the country, so the Orange looking to extend their winning streak from 4 to 5, and we'll see if they can do that. Now moving back to the field hockey pitch, unfortunately no more home games this season, but the Orange do hit the road for their final 2 games of the year, and they have a couple pretty important ones, both ACC games, and the ACC is always really crucial in field hockey, and especially after a loss today, the Orange are going to look to get back on track.
Their game coming up against BC. BC has 4 out of 6 losses against top 5 ranked opponents, so be on the lookout for that game. And then they close out at Louisville. Louisville's wins over Ohio State and an overtime loss to Northwestern, so that won't be easy either. The ACC tournament is also hosted at Louisville, which then leads me to believe maybe they'll stay there after that game or come back, quick rest, and go back to Louisville.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. That's a quick turnaround because the ACC tournament does get underway on Tuesday, November 4th, as you said, in Louisville. And by the way, the NCAA tournament selection show is Sunday, November 9th. So that's what's coming up for Syracuse field hockey. What's coming up for us here at the ACC Network studio shows? Well, don't worry, we've got some more games coming up. We'll talk to you next for another Syracuse against North Carolina matchup, but over on the men's soccer side of things. And that game will come to you next week, so we look forward to seeing you then. Well, that's almost it for us here after talking Syracuse and North Carolina field hockey. But Hunter, before we say goodbye, your final thoughts from what was really an incredible game.
North Carolina came out in the second half. It was really the story of flipping the script. Thriller of a game, but North Carolina, they go to 6-1 ACC conference record. They'll be in the 2nd seed going into conference, the tournament, maybe even get that 1 seed going into play.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. 2 of the powerhouses of the country did not disappoint today. North Carolina takes down Syracuse 4-3, and just 2 weeks to go in the field hockey regular season.